where shadows play, a glow breaks through a green display. A jellyfish dream built in a steel case, time apprehended by glowing light's embrace. Not bioluminescent, but it sure looks alive. A take on my raft built to survive. Aquaria glow, it dances in the dark. A dive into time, a luminous spark. Limited run, but it's all I need. OVD made it to dominate the dark sea. It hums like the ocean, steady and true. Steel and sapphire, a diver's view. Affordable beauty, but now it's just too rare. A micro-brand marvel almost.
Hey guys and gals, Jim here. Thank you ever so much for joining me once again here on the Spotlight Watch Review. Today we're going to be taking a look at something wildly different than everything that I have ever shown on my channel before. We're going to talk about a watch that glows like radioactive sushi and stings your wallet only slightly less than a real jellyfish. This is the OVD Aequorea, also known as the jellyfish watch. No, Aequorea. Because nothing screams refinerology like naming your timepiece after a squishy, see-through blob. Now, I may be being a little sarcastic here, but I'm going to tell you this right now. This has been an exciting adventure for me. I had seen this watch when it first went up on Kickstarter a couple of years ago. And I unfortunately missed out. And there were two dial choices I wanted. I wanted this one, which is the old Lume dial, and I wanted the blue dial. And at the pretty fair price that they were charging, it wasn't an impossible task. I just had other things I needed to focus on. And now that I've got this, I do wish I had gotten it a little bit earlier. Okay, let's talk about all the letters associated with this name. OVD, that is the actual brand name for this watch. It's OVD watches. And that's short for Origin, Vision, and Design. And they're a Hong Kong-based brand trying to break into the watch game the same way your cousin Kevin tried to be a DJ. Except they're actually pretty good at it. OVD doesn't do boring. Every one of their watches comes from crowdfunding. So this timepiece right here was born from internet strangers throwing money at a glowing sea creature concept. God bless the algorithm. So it worked out well for them. So well, in fact, that this model sold out very quickly. And they soon made a sequel. They made an Aequorea 2. Which is also really, really nice looking, but there was something about the first generation that I was more interested in. Let's take a look at the packaging it comes in. You see the nice leather watch roll. Inside of here, you're going to have a business card that's not too terribly easy to see. I guess this is more of a COA card, I would think, because it has, well, it says warranty card, but there's no warranty information written on there. But, okay, sure, that's your warranty card. This, oh, it's just a little thank you card. And these are the links. Now, I'll give you a warning. If you have a man-sized wrist, you're going to want to contact OVD in advance if you find one of these watches to purchase, because it won't even fit a 7.5-inch wrist with all of the links included. Now, as I said, I missed out on this during its initial run. Oh, there's a little instruction manual. I didn't even see this. Anyway, I missed out on the initial run, so I ended up purchasing this on eBay not too long ago. And I got a fair price on it. I paid just about $40 or $50 less than they initially sold for. So I was perfectly happy with that. So there is your packaging that it comes in. You might be thinking, what's going on with the name? It's a weird name. We took care of the OVD part, but now you've got UW. UW stands for underwater. Underwater was meant to be their subdivision of dive watches within the OVD family. What I'm assuming is that they had plans for making a UW brand. So it would have been OVD manufacturing another brand called UW for underwater. And I think that they're having a hard time getting that to take off because they don't make things in large quantities. Now, that I think is the first and biggest mistake that they make, because they are relying on crowdsourcing to start off all of their sales, which is brilliant. And that's the beauty of being in business in the 2020s. You can certainly start up and rely on a business that's all crowdfunded. It's kind of neat. But because of that, a lot of times that you're going to end up limiting the choices that you want to offer because you want to get the money in hand quick enough to meet the goals to make the product. You don't want to have to keep waiting a few more weeks and a few more weeks and a few more weeks to get more and more and more money to make more and more and more choices. Here, I think a lot of really good choices were made. Continuing on with the naming. Aequorea is named after the Aequorea Victoria, or otherwise known as the crystal jellyfish. Now, that's found off the Pacific Northwest coast, right where hipsters and marine biologists collide. It is bioluminescent as well as fluorescent, and those are two different things. Bioluminescence is an organism's ability to create light within its body. Fluorescence is the ability to reflect back UV light. So if you shine a UV light onto an Aequorea Victoria jellyfish, it's going to glow a brilliant green because of the GFP, the green fluorescent protein, which is exclusive to this particular animal. It is sometimes bioluminescent, but rarely. It uses its bioluminescence, they assume, to scare off predators. And what that does is they'll flash. It doesn't stay lit. They'll flash blue. And if the flash of blue lasts long enough, it will excite the fluorescent proteins and actually turn that blue to more of a green. It's crazy. Green fluorescent protein has literally changed science, and the discovery and application of use won a Nobel Prize in 2008. So yeah, this watch is basically wearing a Nobel on its dial without any of the crippling student debt. This thing glows like Chernobyl and Las Vegas had a love child. The dial is a full lume sandwich, and I love sandwich style dials. And let's see if I can zoom in here. Let's get the light back out of the way. There we go. Focus and zoom. And what you'll see is the white dial has cutouts for each of the hour markers. And underneath this dial is a dial with green lume, and that's shining through the cutouts. That's your sandwich style dial. Then hovering right above those indices is a chapter ring with orange indices coming outward and overlapping. I've never seen a triple layer dial like this before. It's very interesting how they've done that. I love it. I love the hand design. Not so much in love with the central sweep hand, the seconds hand. The big circle on there is a little bit distracting sometimes. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's a little bit distracting. Very clean bead blasting all the way through all of the finish. Everything is nice and soft to the touch. There are no sharp edges to dig into your wrist or into your arm. Now let's take a gander at the specs before we dive any deeper. Here's your specs. Your case diameter is 42 millimeters. Barely. And I do mean it barely hits 42 millimeters. Made of 316L stainless steel. Your crystal is a sapphire crystal with AR undercoating. Your movement is automatic. The caliber is the SII NH35A, which has become a major movement in the industry over the past 5 years. It was still kind of a big deal when this was first made to use the NH35 because it wasn't in every single watch. Now every micro brand watch has a 35A in there. All of the luminescence used on this is all genuine superluminova. You get a 120 click unidirectional rotating bezel, and you get a ratchet extension on the diver's clasp. Now, that's going to be a huge deal just for everyday convenience. And here's what I mean by that. This is the same system I incorporated into the hyperdive that I manufactured. You simply squeeze the pushers and you can extend out the size of the bracelet or bring it back in. And you don't even have to squeeze those to push it in. So you can actually extend it all the way out in case, like me, you've got really big knuckles that you've got to get the bracelet over. Get the watch on your arm and then clasp it closed and then squeeze it down to where you're comfortable. I absolutely love this feature. Truly, absolutely love it. Because we all go up and down in weight just a little bit, every one of us. And then different temperature and different humidity is going to cause your skin to swell or shrink just a little bit. And you can make up for that here without having to mess with taking out any of the links or replacing any of the links. I like how tough everything looks, especially in this finish. They did an absolutely outstanding job.
Please like and subscribe.
Of making a very high-end watch in every possible way, the way that it feels, the way that it runs, everything. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and give it a quick wind. Screw in the crown, let it run on its own. I'm going to put it back on the holder here because I think right about now is a good time to start playing with the lume. Because I'm going to be honest with you, the main reason you want this watch is the lume. The lume is fantastical. Are you ready? Let's grab a flashlight here with a UV light, because that works more quickly than a regular light. Oh, look at the crown. What's he doing? Oh, yeah. the crown glows too, and it glows in a way that makes it look like the jellyfish, and that, to me, is wild. Okay, you ready for the magic? And there we have it. Very nice and bright on that crown. Lume in the bezel, the entire dial. Lume underneath the dial in the green. And then the orange brackets also glowing. The hands glowing, everything. It's just insanity. The shape of the case gives you a little bit of that jellyfish feel. The way they did the lume in the crown, this actually looks like the jellyfish, which is wild as hell. Now, I've had the chance to communicate quite a bit with the owner of OVD Watches. His name is Ricky. And he seems to be a pretty fantastic guy. Now, remember, this is a very proud Hong Kong brand. So I'm having to send messages overseas, and we're translating our messages back and forth. And he was so wonderfully tolerant of all of my questions. Now, I did get into a whole bunch, and a lot of that information I've already given you here so far. I don't want to dive too deep into this because this is a watch that's no longer available. Your only chance is to find one on the secondary market. You're going to be checking your eBay, and you're going to be checking your watch forums and things like that. And that's your only shot to get one. Now, in the crowdfunding days, these were as low as 300 to 350 early on. And then as it ended, I think it went up a little bit more. Now you're going to pay between 350 and 600 on eBay, assuming that you can beat the other glow-loving degenerates to it. I scored mine from a collector unloading his stash, probably to pay for a few glow sticks and regrets. He had a whole bunch of watches up for sale. He was basically selling his collection. So I got what I feel was a pretty fair deal. It was on the high end of the spectrum, but for what you're getting, I don't feel that's a bad thing at all. So when I got it, he threw in the one additional link, the one link that he had to take out to wear it. I put the link in. I didn't have a prayer in the world to be able to wear it. Couldn't do it. So I, after doing some digging and discovering who OVD was, because again, when I got it, it was still a question, is the brand UW? Is the brand OVD? What's going on here? So contacted OVD, and it was the owner himself that reached back out to me and didn't even tell me he was the owner at first, which was really cool. He was just responding like a regular customer service individual. So that allowed me to kind of speak freely. I didn't have to be like, yes, sir, no, sir, and, be super, super on top of my manners. Just talk like a normal person to another normal person without having the nervousness of, oh my God, this is the guy that designed it. This is the guy that owns the company. None of that. And he didn't act like that either. He was such a wonderful, down-to-earth individual, and he made everything so easy. I said, listen, I didn't buy this watch brand new, so you didn't make any money off of me. I got this off of someone on eBay, and the amount of links that are on there just aren't enough for me to be able to wear this, unfortunately. And I said, I'm super excited about wearing it. I want to wear it. Let me know how much it is for an additional link, and let's do this. So he got back to me, and once he confirmed, after I sent him a picture, that this was the Generation 1, he says, okay, my factory does have some extra links. I'm going to get that for you. Now, that wasn't in his office. I don't know how far away his office is from his factory, but he had to wait for the factory to ship it to him. Then I had to wait for him to ship it to me. So, yeah, it did take a long time. But that's not their fault. I do want to show it to you on the wrist so you get an idea of why that's such a big deal and why I say it is barely 42 millimeters. Actually, that's a little snug. I'll open it up just a hair. There we go. Kind of a half a click there. I love how it sits on the wrist. It's wonderfully comfortable. It's a no hair pull kind of bracelet. I'm not an enormous fan of integrated bracelets, but I think they did this one nicely. I like the look of the jellyfish on the clasp, very classy. And the same thing with the case back, which I'll show you here in a moment. The only thing I think I would change about this, if I could, is I would want a regular end link on here so that I could swap out bracelet to rubber strap and back and forth. And I can't do this with the integrated bracelet with a male lead-in the way that they've done this, because that is a teeny tiny, I think it's like 13 millimeters in between the lugs. Very, very, very tiny. And to find a strap that will fit that and that flares out like this does to the outside edge of the lugs, I think it'd be too difficult. So that's the one negative that I have on this. And that's it. You would think that it'd be super easy to find a whole bunch of little things that I would want to change on this. And I just haven't. I really like everything that they've done. And I have been super impressed with the quality and with the comfort all the way around. Now, to finish the story that I, for some reason, didn't finish, Ricky was kind enough to send me 2 links instead of just one. Luckily, I only needed the one, and then I do the rest of the adjustments here with this, because I don't mind that it looks like this on the wrist, because not many people are looking underneath my wrist anyway, so it doesn't really bother me. If this bothered me a tremendous amount, I would have put the second link in so that I could have that completely closed. I think it was right about there. Let's take a listen to this bezel. There's a little bit of bounce back, just the tiniest little bit. And it does sound a little hollow and tinny because it's a very smooth tooth operation. You feel all 120 clicks, but it's not notchy at all. They focused more on smooth than on notchy, and a lot of people are going to appreciate that. Bracelet is nice and thick without making that common mistake of being overly thick and overbearing. So what you've got is a nice balance on the wrist. It feels really good. It's not top heavy. It's not bracelet heavy. It just works all the way around. If you're looking for a rare, harder to find micro brand tool diver that has an interesting characteristic in the way that it speaks to you, through the colors, through the shape, through the way that it glows, then I think, honestly, this is a phenomenal way to go. I think it's a handsome watch. It's not over-designed. But here's the thing. As long as I lusted after this, I'm still not wearing it as a daily. So it's taken me a little bit longer to sit down and do this review, because I like to have a good 2 weeks of a watch on my wrist before I start talking about how good or how not so good it might be. I want to see how it's going to wear. I want to see what the comfort level is like. I want to see if there's anything about it that's gimmicky that I'm really not ever going to use on a daily basis. I want to see how easy it is to transition different looks with strap changes and whatnot. And I want to see how it holds up to a little bit of normal everyday wear and abuse without being crazy about it. So I have taken my time with this to make sure that I have enjoyed it. The colors I find unique and refreshing. I'm not as crazy about the red calendar disc. I like that there's a sharp contrast, and it does make it fairly easy to read. But I don't know that red goes with the melon colors of the indices and hands, or this slate blue that's in the bezel. Now, I believe Ricky told me that the bezel is actually a ceramic composite. I don't know what it may be composited with. Then, of course, you have the Superluminova within each of the markings on there as well. So if you're looking at this and it's $350, $400, even $450, I'd say you'd be hard-pressed to find a cooler watch with all of these same specs in another micro-brand watch. If I were to change a few things, I think I might swap to the blue dial if I had that opportunity. I do like this, but there's something about the blue dial that kind of sings to me. I would make this a full millimeter larger. I would put this right at 43, just so that it was a little bit more close to the size that I like to wear. And I think I would change the way the bracelet attaches so that I could have a strap option. And then I would want to see them include a strap at that price range. That way you've got a whole kit, you've got the bracelet, you've got the strap. A lot of companies are doing that with all the same specs here. With sapphire and the good quality movement and everything else, most of them are still putting in steel and fluoro rubber, or steel and nylon for NATO and Zulu straps. I'd like to see that. Just better bang for the buck. But I do feel that you're getting your money's worth out of this. And that's what's difficult, because it isn't available anymore. You do have to go to the secondary market. You do have to pay more than everybody else did. And you have to worry about that. You know, you're ordering it and going, geez, you know, even if it's in imperfect condition, is it really worth the money I just paid for it? Yeah, I think within reason, up to about $450 or so, I think you're doing damn good. Would I spend $600 on it? No. I almost did once when it popped up on eBay, and I almost did it, and then I thought better of it, and I didn't do it, didn't pull the trigger, and then just a few months later, this one popped up, and I got a really nice deal. The guy was super easy to work with. Very, very nice fellow. And I've been happy with it. Again, not doing major backflips about it, not wearing it every single day, but I certainly do really, really enjoy it. And it is most likely going to be a keeper in my collection. A lot of times you'll get a watch that you're kind of lukewarm on after you built yourself up to be super excited. And then you're like, I'm probably not going to keep this. And then you turn around and flip it and you sell it and buy something else with the money. And I think this one's going to probably stay in the collection. Maybe not forever, but I think at least for the short term, for the next 6 months to a year, I think this is going to be something I'm going to enjoy wearing over and over and over again, especially when I'm looking for something completely different. There's nothing else out there that looks like this that combines these colors. Just nothing. And I really, really enjoy that. Plus, hey, you've got the whole jellyfish story that goes along with it. And you could tell people all about it. You could tell them now the difference between fluorescent and bioluminescent, because now you know. You probably already did know that. You didn't need me to teach you. But now you know about GFP, green fluorescent protein. That's kind of a big deal, right? It's always fun to learn something new. Anyway, that is your look at the OVD UW Underwater Aequorea diver, the jellyfish diver. And stay tuned, because I've got something else wildly special that I'm going to be showing you very, very, very soon. Also a bit on the small side, for those of you that noticed. But oh my God, Yeah, wow. Totally different price range, totally different level of collecting, but it's a hell of a flex in a micro brand. So stay tuned for that. That'll be out within the next week, and I'll see you then. Thanks again.